Hello again, welcome back to Asgard, and welcome back to Vintage Story. So we're picking back up after the last episode, because, of course, I want to go ahead and start our next project. Sun just came up. I did spend a little bit of time cleaning out our dump chests, organizing those. I did get all the stone from over there, but I haven't gotten all of the wood, because I'm gonna be continuing to occasionally go over there and clear out and check for resin trees, and so we'll continue just kind of stockpiling wood in those chests. But look at this. Winter is fully on. I love it because, like, where I live, we rarely ever get snow, and so I just absolutely love winter on Vintage Story. I don't know, it's like such a magical time. The very first thing that we are going to do today is we are going to set out and see about, oh yeah. I should probably show you this, because we said that we started this a while back, but we do have some chicks here. They're Generation 1. There's actually a few. You can see a little brown one there. And I think there's 2 yellows. So she had 3 baby chicks. They can have between 2 and 3, depending. You know, of course, they need 3 eggs to actually sit on them, but sometimes the egg will be a dud. But we got lucky. We got all 3 chicks. Now, granted, I'm probably going to end up bashing a couple of them on the head, because I really just want one hen and 1 rooster in there as we breed our generations. But once those baby chicks are finished growing up, you know, we can look at a glance, says Generation 1, we'll bash the old mama on the head, kill her. I know it sounds terrible. I don't condone bashing animals in the head, just for the record, but once it's time to turn those over, I mean, it's almost 100% chance that we're going to end up with at least 1 hen, because it's like only a 10% chance that we're going to get a rooster out of those. But I do want to make sure, you know, before we kill our mama chicken, because we can check and know which one's which. So, but we'll probably just kill all but 1 of them. Right over here is our fire clay. So we're going to go ahead, just harvest a bit of this up, at least enough for us to get started with. This is something that we will be running through. You know, when it comes to making skeps, we use a lot of our blue clay for that. So we're kind of constantly having to go out and get blue clay, for example. But fire clay, we're going to be using a bit of that for our bloomeries. So now today, we're not probably going to be doing our iron, but this is in preparation for that. And what we're going to be doing today is in preparation for that. Because we cannot, under any circumstances, process iron without a place to process it. So we are going to be building ourselves a forge. And this will be a very good project for us to spend December doing. Now, another thing that we're going to want, because I think the time has come, I think we farmed up enough dead grass. That's a terrible place to stand, by the way. I think we farmed up enough dead grass with our last couple builds that I think we're going to change up roofing for this one. Originally, going into it, I was thinking of doing a thatched roof and have the middle be like this big chimney that comes up, and then do like a circular thatched roof, and it be kind of like an outdoor, really open kind of forge. But I think we're going to go with some actual nice roofing. I'm actually going to mark it this time. Now, in order to do the roof, another resource that we're going to have to get, and I'm probably... I don't know that I want to use the last of my 10 bronze pick mining stone, so I'm probably going to make up a few picks before I do that. But we're going to need to mine ourselves up a bit of slate, because I'm planning on doing a slate roof on this. You know, the last time we did Vintage Story, we had that outdoor forge, and then kind of the attached sort of house structure. And I'm thinking we'll do something kind of in that same vein. So as far as placement, let's go ahead, figure out kind of where we want to set this up at. I see you, and you're going to die. I do have to make another sword. Because, of course, with all these wolves out, I am actually using my sword a bit. And we ran through most of the durability on that last episode. So, I guess I could let it rot. That'll be fine. Of course, if you're really hard up for food during the winter, you could always hunt wolves for the little bit of bushmeat and fat that you might get. We'll throw it into our rot box. And have you noticed how, like, just, like, winter it feels inside of this building? Like, it feels cold. And it might be because we have the walnut and the birch, but even the coloring in the winter just feels cold, like inside of these buildings. So, I quite love it. So, alright, but we succeeded. We got our fire clay. Let's go ahead and dump it into there. Now, of course, I didn't make boxes for the other clays, but those are the two main clays, and it's the two that we pretty much have around here, so I didn't see a whole lot of point. If I end up getting a bunch of, like, brown clay or something, we'll make a spot for that. But I am thinking our forge is going to sit kind of right over here. So we kind of have like this triangle of our first 3 structures here. And have the forge setting up over here. As long as we don't go up underneath those trees. We don't want that, so probably build it off maybe there. We will probably use, if we're going to have the slate roof, let's take a look here. See, it's going to be a very, very dark color. Let's see, what cobblestone would we like to go with? I mean, we're kind of limited since we haven't done any really long distance travel. The main stone types we have, like, readily available right now are, like, chalk. If we wanted to go with a really, really white, which I don't. We've got chert. I'll tell you what, let's do a quick color test. We're going to be using a lot of our blue clay today. But I've got... Oh, I don't have much. Oh, yeah, because I used most of them. That's fine. I can go mine more. But I did use most of them for path blocks. If we had this... it's too red. Because there's a little bit of red in that slate and there's red in the chert. So no, scratch that. What about if we did andesite? Because we have that readily available. And if I need to mine more, I can go back to where our iron was. Mine around in there, maybe find some more iron and copper in the process. And, ooh, I like that, actually. Yeah, I think that's what we're going to go with. It will be an andesite and slate building, at least for the most part. We may have some places that aren't, but we'll see. And we also know that we're going to need some wood. We did get a lot of pine, which is a very yellow. I don't think I want a very yellow. But I've used walnut so much lately, I don't think I want to go with walnut. What about oak? We might. Alright, but at this point, I am going to have to go out and mine slate. Oh, we got a wolf. Wintertime, like... I love how terrified they are of me, though. Like, they don't want any part of it. Oh. Look at that wolf trying to get my chickens. No, you don't. Oh, you're just out of reach. Come on. This is what I spend my winter doing, chasing down wolves. Yeah. Turn and face me. Oh my gosh, this wolf has the most health I've ever seen. There we go. To the victor goes the spoils. Oh, I think I ran all the fat off of her because she didn't have any. Okay, well, anywho, I think... I should have brought my pot of food, but that's fine. I should be able to fill up on slate. Because once you get down mining, you actually don't consume that much hunger. Really? But I think this turned into chert, which turned into andesite, but I believe that there was slate back in this area. And I'm going to go ahead and block that off, just so I don't have any visitors while I'm mining slate. Yeah, we've got slate down here, though. I was thinking I had come across slate while I was mining. And I'd love to mine under Copper Mountain because, of course, where we're at, we have that chance to find more iron, and I wouldn't be surprised if we find more copper, too. So, I'm not really mining any particular way. I'm not necessarily looking for anything. But if I find things, then that'll be good. So, but I just want to, at this point, I just want to fill up my bags with slate at the moment. Okay, due to the temporal instability, I probably shouldn't stay here any longer at this point, but you can see I did get quite a bit of slate. Almost ran out an entire pick. I didn't spot any ores or anything, but that's fine, you know. This looks like it's going to turn back into slate and wrap. I gotta see. Yeah, looks like it is. And it'll go in like 2 and then be more andesite. Yep. But we did pretty good. You can see like how this is shaped up. Alright, so we'll head up and go into this big area that I also cleared out. Where the slate kind of started off. Good, and we have a rift right there. I love it. But at this point we need to start setting up the kind of the foundation of the forge. So I'm going to start getting that ran with andesite and just getting kind of a general idea of how everything's going to be laid out. Of course, I don't need the slate right this second, but we will for the roof. And so I wanted to go ahead and at least have some so we could start the roof. And I'm kind of glad that I did, because when it comes time to do it, I don't know that we're going to be able to just sit and farm it to completion, because we'll have to kind of watch our instability just a little bit there. Okay, after a bit of terraforming and everything, we do have a foundation. So I've put up a fence here so we can step from outside into kind of this outdoor area. Because, of course, with our forge, we're going to most likely want a lot of outdoor space. And we're actually going to be able to move pretty much all this, like, junk over here and kind of get everything cleaned up into this area. This is actually going to be a storage area, and I'm thinking about running the roof out and having the roof that's part of this actually originate from over there. Unfortunately, it's very unstable here. I actually went out and I was gathering plants and stuff and cleaning up some old copper, surface copper spots, just cleaning up the nuggets and stuff. And I got my instability up, but it's going back down steadily. A fence back here. We're going to have a little covered area back here. And then this little part that juts out is actually going to be the staircase. And we'll have a second floor on this structure, I think. We'll have a big smeltery area be here. And then, like, the main structure here. And we'll kind of have it be over near this tree, because hopefully before spring, I'm hoping, we're going to get the area ran around this, decorated out all nice so we can enjoy spring back here. And then we can have the road kind of run up between these two buildings, and it's going to curve around the seating area completely around. So I think everything is spaced out well enough. I've got a bunch of terraforming I've got to do over here, but that's kind of what I've got in mind for our little hamlet. Now, I will say we're still going to use that mountain and do some building over there, but that's a project for later, when we have plenty of pickaxes and stuff. So I haven't forgotten about that Copper Mountain, but we do need our village first, I think. So at this point, I'm going to continue bringing this up. I will probably go ahead and get this ran up to the second floor, and hopefully go ahead and start running some of the roof onto this. And it's funny because I made up a bunch. I actually used most of my chert stone. I made a chert stone fence. I hated the look. So I ended up scrapping it and going with the andesite, I think, kind of keeping the color a little bit cohesive, but I'm still kind of on the fence about it. I don't know if I want to change it over to the rough hewn, but I don't know. I think I want a stone fence back here, but I'm still on the fence about it. Oh, I'm about to starve too. Was not paying a bit of attention. But yeah, so I'm going to continue running this up and hopefully get up to where we can start running some of the roof and get kind of a general idea of how this is going to look, I think. Okay, I had to pop you guys in because I was digging over here, you know, where the andesite was. I had to come back out for more slate because the roof is taking a bit, but I'm actually pretty close with what we got on the first batch. But when I came down here, I decided, well, I'm just going to dig a tunnel, just see where it goes, and see how far it goes before we hit andesite. And as I was digging that tunnel, right as we were hitting andesite, we have found more iron. Poor quality, but more iron. So we're going to dig this up. Looks like we do have some that's insulate and some that's in andesite. But we've got plenty of storage space. I was also up there cutting down trees. That's why I got a bunch of axes. Because where we have been cutting down trees for looking for resin, it's actually a very stable area. And where I'm building, it's very unstable generally. And my temporal stability was like bottomed out again. I was starting to take damage. I was like, well, I'm going to go cut down trees and clear out that forest a little bit while my stability gets up, and then after that I'm going to come down and mine slate because I lose a lot of stability while I'm down here. Unfortunately, I have not found any more resin spots, but I am still clearing that out. But it's nice because I've been able to kind of bounce around projects while I'm building, you know, and in the process have come across yet more iron. So once we have a forge set up and we can start processing all this iron, then we're going to be in a pretty sweet spot, I think, as far as iron goes, to get us started. I figured with it being Copper Mountain around the high magnetite area, this would be the perfect place to spend a while mining slate, because I've got to clear out so much space, and I'm liable to unearth an ore or two, you know. And I'm actually really happy that it turned out it was iron. But you know, it's really funny when you compare the mining within Vintage Story to the mining within, like, say, Minecraft. Because simple things like iron, even copper, you know, it's always exciting anytime you find a good deposit of metal. Like, I don't think there's ever been a point in any of my Vintage Story worlds where I'm like, oh, there's an ore, but I don't really need that. I don't care that that's there, let's say. I may not mine it all immediately, like, you know, I've got brown coal over there, and I'm just kind of like, I mined a bunch, I'll get some more later. Alright, at this point, I'm probably gonna stop mining iron momentarily, because I really do need to get some slate, and I don't have that much longer, because this place is fairly unstable. I don't have that much longer down here. But it's easy to find, because it's down in my, my slate mine, so... but it seems like this node is liable to give us a lot of iron. So we've gotten over 2 stacks of iron, and I still have all of this all the way around. It's like a single layer of iron, like solid sheet of iron here, and it probably continues well on in that direction. So we are liable to end up... there's my exit. We're liable to end up pulling a whole lot of iron out of this deposit. I can't resist it. I'm so greedy, I cannot resist it. I need to be mining slate, and I'm like, oh, but there's iron right there looking at me. So we'll come back to that, mine up the rest of that. But I do have to go ahead and run this over and deposit it into our swelling metal chest. None of that stuff stacks. All like different stuff or filled stacks. Okay, well, I'm going to head back into the forest just to get my stability back up. The sun will be coming up here in just a few hours, so that should give it time to stabilize back out, and then we'll pop over and take a look at the work thus far. And also, I checked it earlier, but I think... I'm going to check it again, because I think... Yeah, okay, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and grab that. I knew it was getting close, because we're on the 5th, and I was thinking that we found it, you know, a couple days before December, that one. The other one that's over here will be a day or two, something like that. Right here, I have located a resin tree. I was just about to head back because you can see the sun's starting to come up. But that means we have now found 3 trees with resin so far. Of course, I wasn't able to check 2 thoroughly this time around because I didn't bring my ladders out with me, and I mean I could make them now because I've got some sticks, but alright, so let's head on over to what we've got thus far, and like I said, I may have to go mine up some more slate, but you can see that I've brought this roof out over what's going to be just a little storage nook in here, so we'll have a little 3x3 storage, just kind of dense storage for stuff. Because we'll have other things out here a little bit more accessible. We've got a nice empty wall here that we'll be able to use And up here will be where we run up the chimney. So nothing, no windows or anything dug out just yet. Just planning things out. And then back in here, we're going to have that covered section. Now, I was debating because I'm planning on actually building some big, like 3 high walls. Three or 3.5 block high walls. And I did consider about running them out instead of these just these small fences, or doing the oak fence around it. I mean, originally, well, I thought I'll do church because I think that'll look all right. And it didn't like I wanted it to in my head, you know? And so then I was like, well, I'll do andesite, keep it cohesive. But then I'm like, I don't know about that. But I'm really kind of just leaning towards just doing the wooden fence. I love these. Like I said last episode, or episode before last, these just have a lot of character. So I may just end up running those. But anyways, this carries on. This is actually going to be a covered area where we can burn, do charcoal burning here on site, have it covered, and then we can also do our clay stuff as well. And then if we step in, I did run this up, and luckily it all got nice and covered with snow, but got this ran up for the second floor, and I think I'm going to be doing the second floor in oak. I actually brought over a bit of oak over here, and I basically just set this dump chest up before I went over to mine because I knew I was going to need empty inventory space. So I wasn't anticipating that being for iron, to be honest. Okay, but I don't have my clay here. I've got to, at the moment, I think all I really have to do as far as the roof goes is this back section, this side section. Oh, and I need to put the middle. I've actually got some middles made up, but not enough. I need to run all this out. And I'm thinking I'm going to have this just kind of curve, come out a little bit, plug into that. We've got to get lighting set up, which we will be, I promise. I don't like using all my fat for lighting, but now I'm starting to think we will probably be able to make lanterns in mass fairly soon. Because maybe after this build, I do want to start processing iron, but then we might start turning our attention over to maybe setting up a windmill. And then we're going to be in a really good position for spring. I love spring, but I really personally like all this snow and just how cold everything feels on Vintage Story during the winter. I just love it. Everything kind of gets like a gray hue to it, and everything kind of looks washed out, and it's the most beautiful thing ever. I just love winter on here. Okay, perfect. So, which I am going to have to put those in a pit kiln. Actually, on that note, since I know I'm going to need a bunch, here, let me show you. Since we haven't fired these within this series yet. You know, we used them a bit on the last series, but the last series was years ago. I'm actually going to go ahead and do a full entire stack of these. Never have too many of them, and I have a literal ton of blue clay around here. But let's go ahead, lay these out, and we can do 2 stacks, I want to say. Yeah. Because if we go over that, like for example, if we put a bunch of these in there, the way you know is, see, I can't place the grass, and it says, oh, it says can only fire up to 12 once. It's hard to see it because it's slightly transparent. I don't know why I removed all of those, because I'm going to be firing up a whole bunch of these at once. Now this will be the same process for our fire clay as well. And then other than that, it is just like normal stuff. Normal day at the office. And we'll just let that go for a bit. And hopefully that's one of the last things that we'll fire over here. And then we will start doing all of our firing over there. And I've still got to fire these. Which actually for this, because I don't like doing these like small abnormal batches, because I can always go get more blue clay. Which actually I need that for. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to. I had a lot of blue clay. And now I'm going to have, I do have that though. Yeah. I can only make 2. So I will have to definitely farm more slate, but that's fine. I'm getting closer. Alright, but anyways, I'm going to get the the rest of the roof put on this, and some of the walls brought up, and then hopefully start popping holes in it for our windows and stuff. Okay, I wanted to pop you guys in and show you we have a lot of dead hens. I happened to come over here just a second ago because I heard a wolf over here carrying on, and I had noticed them back behind this pen a couple times, like running at it. You know something I didn't think about before winter hit? Wolves getting on top of the snow and being able to get over the fence. But that's what's happened. They got onto the snow and were able to jump over the fence. And I came over here and there was just a wolf in here and just dead hens everywhere. I'm gonna harvest them and at least get the feathers. Oh, I'm actually getting poultry from that too. Now I did manage to chase it down and kill it. I have been killing wolves aplenty, but at the very least I can get the feathers and the poultry. There was so much meat here I didn't even eat everything. It just left it. It was just like whatever. All of my Generation 1 hens are dead. I'll have to start again in the spring. I'm not going to during the winter. But for next year we'll make sure that we've got our animal pens set up. You know, I don't have to worry about the pigs and the rams. The hens had a bad go of it. Now, these here have been fine. No wolves have gotten into them, and after that happened, this is what I came and did, was I built a big double fence. Now, I didn't even put a gate on it. I can't open it. I don't mind. I don't need in there right now. I'm not running my eggs right now. It's actually the very first day of January. So, this is kind of where we're at. And look outside of here. We got a dead wolf here. I have killed many a wolf. I just see them. Like, I guess they're starving because it's winter, and they'll come up to the fence and they're just running at the fence like they want a piece. And so I just beat them dead. And I end up they make me chase them like halfway across the county here. But anyways, what I have been working on, I got the roof on, and I got some fire pits in here. We're actually going to be adding, you know, a top to this. It's going to connect to the chimney. I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to stick with the andesite cobblestone or not. If I want it to look like it's part of the building itself, or if I want it to feel like it's, you know, separate. But I'm thinking we'll chisel this front. We're going to change a lot of this dirt over once I figure out what I'm going to put there. I did actually end up getting to use my chert dry stone fences. I used them here, and I think they work fine as supports. I just don't think they were great as a fence. And it's funny because at night, especially, but even during the day to some degree, these buildings, since we don't have lights around most of the buildings, everything, and plus we have these like boarded up windows, everything feels like it's like abandoned. You know, like there's like no furniture or anything, and we just have all these like dark buildings at night with boarded up windows. This building especially, it will be glass panes once here actually fairly soon, but at the moment we're just boarding up the windows. I also did end up adding this little overhang over the doorway. And let's get our very first blue clay brick chimney. Woo. There we go. Let's climb down and take a look. Yeah, I think that's good. Oh, and up here I wanted to show you, I did slate roof tips all the way down just to kind of give it character up here at the top. Also, because the slate roof, if you have the inner corner and you have, like, for example, the ridge that runs down through there, they actually don't line up. There's like a little gap that runs. I mean, we could fill it in real easy, but there's a little gap that runs, whereas the slate roof tip does cover that. And plus I think it looks better to have, I don't know, this little bit of like character up there. But if we pop inside, we're going to be doing something in here really, really quickly. You can see I have been chiseling. I have been chiseling some beams down through here. I've done a couple supports, but these will be the only two supports, and then this back here I think will be open. and then we'll do some other chisel work in here. Chiseling, some chisel projects take a while. These actually don't take that long, but it's a perfect example of using the chisel. So we can kind of go over it, the basis of it on camera. Now, one thing I will say is, even though I won't turn on the node search for the prospecting pick, you know, because like I said, it's not on by default. It takes a command. And to me, I don't mind if it's on or not. Personally, I think it's more fun mining without it, because node search is like magical find things for me. Whereas normally you kind of just gotta dig and dig and dig until you find it, and I think it's more fun. However, the chisel I will turn on, and that's just because it's a building thing. It's this command right here, and if you need to find this, just check the wiki. They've got the command up for that. So, and I always set it to all. I remove, you know, this bit, and that's the command that I use. That way I can chisel anything I want, and I can do microblock chiseling. Because by default, you're not going to be able to do microblock chiseling, which is one of those things that's like a must-have to me. You just got to turn it on, you know. So what we're going to do is we're going to place out the blocks we're going to use. I'm going to be using 5 oak planks and 5 walnut to do this segment. And then what we'll do is we'll just go through and just right-click all of these. Boom, 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 boom. And then we're going to pick these up. And what we made there is we made a chiseled version. So it says oak planks, material wood. If we look over here, it's material wood, burn temperature, burn duration. So this is a chiseled variant. And what we're going to do is we're going to combine these 2 blocks by just putting one on top of the other. Whichever one's on top, it's going to make the base of it. And for this, I want oak planks as the base, for example. And so we're just going to grab that. And you'll see this is extremely quick and easy to use for a lot of things. Now, if you want to make like lots of like really little detailed things, then it's going to take a bit longer. So what we're going to do is we can hit F, you know, and we can open up this right here, this little tab, and we can set if we want to do 1 by 1 by 1 or 2 by 2 by 2, these different sizes. So if we set it to this, you know, it takes off a whole big chunk there. We can rotate it. We can flip it. We can set a name for the block that we're making. And down here we can choose material, and we can also add additional material. So for example, to do the pillars, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select the 8x8 feature, and I'm just going to go and left click, all the way down, and just shear off that bit. And then what I'll do is I'll pick the 2x2, 4x4, and I'm just going to go down through here and fill this in. And I probably will end up shaping up these pillars just a little bit more. But for right now, this is pretty good for us. And then we're going to put a base in there. And we're going to bring this part down and do that. And then we're going to set it back to the 8x8. And just come through and left click. And you'll want to choose, like if I was wanting to place oak planks, I would select that. And then if I was to, if I was to right click, it would put down oak planks. But if I choose the walnut, then it's going to place down walnut. So, and like I said, you can add more blocks to this if you want, just by dropping them into that spot right there. And we can go down, and there we go. We got a pillar. But like I said, we probably will shape these up a bit more. Honestly, I'm thinking, especially the ones that have the pillars on them, and maybe these as well. But definitely the ones that have the pillars, because probably what I'm going to do, I might even end up angling them a little bit. Like getting rid of this block, bringing it down as a chisel block, and then angling that in. Maybe even getting rid of all of this and making it a chiseled block. But I still have to finish the rest of the pillars that are going to go across this, and probably the bottom of the stairs. Maybe. But you can see up here, like, you can see a difference between these two. But we can still place items on it, and we can walk on it and all that stuff. So it all behaves just like a slab, but we have our chiseled work on the bottom. But you can get really, really intricate with this stuff. we're going to be using it a lot on the exterior of buildings and stuff for example, like adding wood support up the side. It's generally, for stuff like that, it's actually pretty quick to use and pretty quick to kind of just knock through and chisel a bunch of stuff in. And we'll probably do a bit of decorating with it too, because we can pretty much make anything we want within the world, just as long as we want to sit down and spend the time. But yeah, that's just a quick example of, there it is. I walked out the door and I chucked my sword, and I didn't mean to. But that's just a quick example of kind of what we can do with the chisel. But anyways, at this point, we're going to cut. I'm going to add on some basic finishing touches. I'm going to try to get some of the ground done, and I need to get this area set up, covered. And then I need to get some of our stuff moved over to here for our forge area. Now, this won't be an all-encompassing forge area like for everything, because some of the stuff later on, of course, we don't have areas spaced out for those, but this will be kind of our basic dark agey type forge. Okay, it has been a bit. I actually ran through quite a few chisels between cuts. I did start shaping this up. I'm not entirely done. I've still got to add detail and stuff to it. But I did start shaping it up. I do think I'm going to go with the andesite cobblestone. I just think in the end, as far as the stone types that we have available, and it kind of feels like it's actually just built into the wall, but we are going to add a bit of detail around it and kind of spruce it up. I actually spent a bit of time, we're going to pop over there, because I spent a bit of time chiseling, and that's where most of my picks went. And I'll show you guys that. But I did set up a trough. I was debating about doing a trough that we could actually store water in, but honestly, I want it near this, and I just don't have the space to do one that can hold water, you know, and still have my fences and everything, so I decided against it. I also did start smelting up a bit of copper while I was making chisels. Did go ahead and smelt up a bit of that and get it in place. And then back in here we have some storage, some additional tool racks. We've got chests. Made up a couple crates for storing like our charcoal and our brown coal. Some tool mold racks to store our molds on when we're not using them. And our old tier 1 anvil. Over here we've got some shelves for storing crucibles. Back in here I set up some little spaces to do our clay burning. Now bear in mind, don't put these too close to your stuff, like flammable stuff. But this back side of the building, there's nothing back here. That's going to be flammable, and they ran just fine with no issues. So this was kind of like a test run to see if anything caught fire. But I can do my clay stuff and not worry about the weather or anything like that with these little roofs over the top. These do kind of not connect, so I may end up changing it. I just love the chert dry stone. So honestly, I may just end up making chert dry stone and then chiseling it so that it'll connect and flatten out. I do actually like the fact that these do that, but in this situation it doesn't work out for me. And I did also fire more crucibles. We're just going to put these, so we got crucibles on one side, and then I did fire more ingot molds, and I'm going to be firing a bunch more ingot molds because this is not enough. It actually is a limiting factor right now for me as far as how much ingots I can make. I have a lot of copper that needs to be processed, and only having 4 ingot molds was kind of a little bit problematic for me there. Oh, and also I was going to lay out the ground, but I was thinking I'd really like a gravel, and the gravel that I would really like to have, at least a lot of it out here, is claystone, and I don't currently have claystone. We're going to be waiting just at least a little bit, because I want the ground, especially up around here, to be kind of like trodden and kind of sound sandy and stony, and I think I do want that claystone gravel for that, but I don't have that just yet. So for now it's going to be grass. But over here I have laid out a fire pit. Now if you take a look, this is actually a 4x3 and it's 2 deep. So it's actually going to be quite a bit of wood. It basically is the interior of this in size. And then I built just kind of this little lean-to that sits over it. That way we can start our fire in the rain and stuff, and it's not going to matter. But let's go ahead, let's finish this out, and we're going to light it, and that way we can start another batch of charcoal, because I like charcoal. Though I am starting to use brown coal now that I have that for my cooking, and also for doing my copper, because brown coal, the burn temperature is only 1100 degrees, but it's actually perfect for smelting copper, because it's 1084. And we're going to kind of christen our big charcoal maker. I mean, we could go bigger, but yeah, there we go. We could go bigger than this, but honestly, I think this will be sufficient. Now, let's pop over. Like I said, I did some chiseling. I didn't do any work on the inside. I was going to start the inside, and I just didn't get around to it. But anyways, I spent a bit of time chiseling out 2 tables. And I do them right here because that way I can get underneath them on the stairs, and then I can come above them. It just makes it a little bit easier. Technically, you can pick these up and just, if I wanted to do the bottom, just set it up here. And of course, you can rotate it too, if you want. But I tend to like it just stationary and just move around it. If I have a place set up where I can get underneath it. So anyways, I set up this table here, and you'll notice that it is made of chert rock as the primary, and then I did walnut planks on the top, and then all this like darker stuff is just slate sand around it. So, but I did make 2 tables. They should be the same. I tried to make them match, and I think I got the bottoms in the same place. Because I made one and then I moved it to the back and then tried to copy it here. But let's go ahead and take these, and then we're going to be setting these up right over here like that, because these are going to be tables for our molds and stuff. But I think we're going to have ingot molds back here, or do I want them here? I'll tell you what, no, I want to switch these. That way we can see all of our pretty ingots as we pass by, if they're cooling. So we can put those out, and then what we can do is we can grab like our molds out of here, like hammer. For right now, we're just going to put a hammer on here. Try to keep this maybe cleaned off. Well, because honestly, what I'm probably going to end up having here most of the time is another 6 ingot molds once I get those made. Which I will probably make them right after this episode, but because we'll probably be pouring more ingots than anything in the near future. But I did whenever I was chiseling this, I did have the ingot molds. I tried to line everything up nicely, so on these you can still kind of see the wood around them, and on these they cover the wood just exactly. That's actually kind of intentional, and all this is kind of trimmed back. You can see down through here it's trimmed back a block or a voxel. But yeah, I think we're going to go with that. And then what we're going to do, because it is now time, we don't have to worry about running out of bronze and not having iron, and we're going to fire ourselves some tin. We are in business. And the nice thing is I've been able to clean up my junk pile from the warehouse area. Alright, we are going to pour out our hammer mold. We finally have them just not sitting on the ground. It's great. We have these custom little tables here. I mean, they're not that super crazy or nothing, but they did take quite a few chisels to make. Like, I think I used 4, counting the one that we had earlier, to do all of this. So it was a bit, and I don't want to go crazy chiseling right now until I have better chisels with more durability. Because it was like I would chisel out like one piece and it was like, man, I lost so much durability, and then it was like chisel out another piece and it's like, okay, well that chisel's gone. Then the next one, now this part, because I haven't done any detail to it, it's just like chunks taking out. It doesn't run through, but whenever you're chiseling out like detail on things, it eats through some durability. But now we'll have our 10 bronze hammer for next episode, because next episode we're going to start playing with iron. It's going to be super exciting. And actually, I need to, between episodes, one thing I will be doing is I will be firing some fire clay bricks. Just like they're just like the blue clay bricks that we fired today. So I will be firing a bit of those. But anyways, I think that's going to do it for us for this episode. So we have another building that's cold and barren and abandoned at the moment. I know we've gotten a few lights, but I don't like dumping all my fat into making oil lamps because they're so temporary, and we'll use some for decorating in places, but I don't tend to use them that much. You know, we're going to use more lanterns and candles and stuff, so I don't like just dumping a bunch of fat into oil lamps for a very short time. So I do apologize about it being dark. Oh, and I just want to show you guys this really quick. Look how pretty it is, like at night. That's the fire bricks going down there, but it's so pretty. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, as always, be sure and hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe if you're not already to stay updated with when new videos come out. And I hope to see you guys next time. So until then, as always, do take care, stay safe, and I'll see you guys then.